Hey guys, I'm Stacy and this is Gorgeously Aging, and today I have a Sephora haul that I have used to create this look. So if you're interested in all the goodies I've recently picked up at Sephora and some helpful tips for makeup on the mature face, keep on watching. Over the weekend, I went on a little bit of a retail therapy trip with my husband and we hit a Sephora and I got a whole bunch of goodies. I actually did a mail order as well, so I got something in the mail last week and I got to shop in store. So I am feeling a little bit spoiled right now, but I got a lot of things that I've been wanting to share with you guys and just test out myself. I'm always on the hunt to find the absolute perfect makeup for mature skin, and hoping that this year I can really nail down some super good combinations. If you are brand new to my channel, a special welcome. I do hope you'll subscribe and join the Gorgeously Aging community. So I have already started with my skincare and have my sunscreen on, so I'm ready to go that way. But I've been so excited to try the iconic London Underglow Blurring Primer. I've heard some good things about this, so I will test this out on my mature skin. You know, so many times I see this tested on younger skin and they rave about it, and so I never really believe the success of things until I try them myself. We all know that as you age, especially when you get toward and through menopause, the skin changes so much. So the products that are raved about by some younger influencers may not be ideal for mature skin. So I'm going to take a few drops of this here. It smells really nice. It has like a coconut aroma. It does give a little shine on the skin. Hopefully it helps to blur wrinkles and pores. So I am rapidly approaching my 52nd birthday, which comes up in December, and this time of year, before I start holiday shopping, I do kind of indulge a little bit on myself, do a little retail therapy leading up to my birthday. I would say skincare, makeup, and jewelry are kind of like my guilty pleasures or vices. For me, these are things that never make me feel bad. I never feel fat, or I never feel like things don't fit, or I never have a bad experience shopping for makeup, skincare, or jewelry. They always fit and it always makes me feel good. You guys, I've mentioned in previous videos that I am kind of cheap and frugal when it comes to shopping, but doing this as a full-time job, I have come to realize that I have to test some of the higher end things to really know if the cheaper drugstore products do compare. I've had my eye on the YSL brand for a while, but haven't really used much of their products. So recently I have been indulging in a few more of the YSL products. So today I'm going to use the foundation. This is the All Hours foundation. It does come beautifully packaged in their signature gold packaging, a frosted glass container, and of course I love the YSL logo. It is so classy. Now I'm hoping the shades that I picked will work for me. I always have such a hard time picking shades. I also have the Touche Eclat High Cover Radiant Concealer. I hope I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And last but not least, from YSL, I picked up one of their lipsticks. This is called The Bold. It is Intense Color Ultimate Comfort, and I got this in the shade 13, which is Nude Era. Let me show you that. And here is a swatch. Such a pretty color. But I do have a Huda Beauty lipstick and lip liner combo that I did try out because my curiosity got the best of me. So I opened it up and it is beautiful. So that's the one I'm going to show you today. I also got Huda Beauty Easy Bake. I have this in the loose powder as well, which Abby stole from me and she is loving it. It's really good, the loose powder, if you prefer that. But I wanted to try the pressed Easy Bake just for getting a little bit more baking underneath the contour. I also did pick up the Huda Beauty foundation and concealer, so in a future video I will test that out for you guys. So I promise I will share more comprehensive review videos on some of this stuff and let you know how it works on mature skin. I'm going to start out with this All Hours foundation by YSL. This is in the shade MN5, and I'm just going to give myself a couple of pumps on the back of my hand, and there's the consistency, slightly fluid. And I think I'm just going to put this on with my fingers first and then maybe use a sponge for blending. I have been finding so many foundations go on so nicely with the fingers. And especially on aging skin, I think it just really gets the product into the skin nicely. I do love my good foundation brushes and sponges, but using a finger application often is just one of the best ways to put on foundation. I also think it's so quick, so if you're in a hurry, That works out nicely. I'm going to use a damp sponge and just make sure it is all blended in. I think that color is working out really nicely. It blends in pretty good to my skin. We'll see if it oxidizes. So this foundation is $60, not cheap by any means, but it does come in 40 different shades. It's said to be a luminous natural matte foundation, 24-hour long wear, SPF 30, which I love, and it has hyaluronic acid. Now, one of the foundations that I did restock on this haul is my Armani Luminous Silk. My first impression is that this one is not going to be as high up there on my list as the Armani. The Luminous Silk foundation is a beautiful foundation. I really haven't found anything that I think beats this for my skin. What I do think is a nice benefit is that this has SPF, and I think it's probably going to be a little longer wearing. Just a quick interruption for those of you looking for my advanced facial rejuvenation content. You can find that at gorgeouslyaging.com and rumble.com. I also have a private DIY community with support and helpful information on your journey to saving money and feeling your most beautiful self, and that's at gorgeouslyaging.com/VIP. So if SPF and long wear is a priority for you, and if your skin isn't really dry, you may like the YSL better. I'm not at all disappointed. I think it's beautiful, and I do like it over the iconic London Underglow primer. At some point in a shorts video, I will try this foundation without a primer underneath it, let you know the difference. So far, my first impression is really positive. If you are looking for a really good holiday foundation that's beautiful for mature skin, definitely give the Armani Luminous Silk a try if you haven't already. I'm in the shade 5.9. This shade is perfect for me, and actually my daughter Abby loves this. I've had to restock this a couple of times now because she went through a phase of going into my bathroom and using it pretty regularly, which I don't mind. I don't mind sharing my makeup products, and it really made her feel confident. She has a little bit of acne, so even on textured skin, this looked amazing. All right, let's break out this Touche Eclat full coverage. This one is in a lighter shade. This is the shade 1, but I do like to brighten up my under eyes. I usually don't like the brush tip applicators for concealer, but there are some advantages like getting into the corner nicely and precisely. I really didn't intend to rhyme right there, nicely and precisely. And since I've been using my fingers, I'm just going to go ahead and do that here. I'm going to try to get some on my upper eyelid to use as a eyeshadow primer. I just got the new Kosas palette and a Danessa Myricks palette. I've been absolutely loving Danessa Myricks, and I want to take all the things I purchased from her collection and do a dedicated video because she's got some amazing stuff. Everything I'm showing you guys is stuff I purchased. Nothing was sent to me. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't accept a ton of PR only because oftentimes there's an expectation of giving a favorable review, and I always want to give an honest review. I'm not against taking PR from companies that I really believe in, as long as they understand my review is always going to be honest. And I found that sometimes in the verbiage of the agreement, it's to give a favorable review. And so I'd rather pay out of pocket as a business expense and give you an honest review than feel obligated to give you a positive review. You know what I should have done first, you guys, because my eyes tend to be a little bit red or dull in the morning, is use my Lumify drops. I usually do it as part of my morning skincare. But I have these down in my filming room in my basement and didn't have them by my sink. So I'm going to try to put in a few small drops without messing up my makeup. So I have the drops and I'm just going to blink for a minute and then kind of pounce that in because my eyes are just a little watery around the edges from the drops. It's amazing what a difference these make. I did a video the other day where I shot part of the video without the drops, and then my camera got hot, so I took a break and put the drops in. And I showed my husband like the first part of the video, my eyes were dull and kind of reddish looking. And then the second half of the video, my eyes are really bright. And so he was absolutely convinced. He's like, wow, those make a humongous difference. You may have seen it. It's the video where I reviewed the RF microneedling device, which I'm super excited about. But in the beginning of that video, my eyes are a little red, and toward the end, they're nice and bright, and that's why from the Lumify drops. You guys may have heard me talk about Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I've gone through so many of those, and that is a really good staple to have on hand. But I have not yet tried the new blurring powder. So this is the Translucent Loose Setting Powder Ultra Blur, and the other one has a dark cap, and then this one has that light cap. I've never been disappointed by anything by Laura Mercier. especially the powders. I'm gonna put just a little bit in the cap here. I'm going to use this beautiful Sonia Kashuk brush. I love the quality of Sonia Kashuk. They're available at Target. I'll link this brush in the description below. I usually buy them as a set because it's more cost effective. When you have a really big brush, sometimes it's nice just to blot it off in your hand rather than tap it off in here, because then you can go back to your hand and grab a little bit more powder. So I am just going to go ahead and use this all over the face to set down that foundation. On aging skin, you don't need to use as much powder, but I do like to use some. And instead of going back into that larger amount of powder, I'm just going back to my hand, which has a little bit of powder. So just a little tip. And then you can take your damp sponge if you tend to feel like you have more powder than you need, and just lightly press that in. I like to do this especially around my eyes where I don't want a powdery look. I just want a light set, but I want them to look smooth and not dry or powdery. The areas around my T-zone where I need a little bit more of a powder set, I don't worry as much about those areas. All right, I picked up the Kosas Undressed palette. I swatched these in Sephora and I was super impressed with how buttery this formula is. So I tend to gravitate towards a formula that's a little smoother, a little creamier, buttery feeling, which I know that word is overused. But what I mean is that I avoid eyeshadows that have a chalky or dry feel, or when you put your eyeshadow brush in the pan, it gets really dusty. So this is a cardboard type of palette, although really well constructed. And then there are the colors. I love that there's more mattes and only the one shimmer. Let me show you guys some swatches. I don't know if you guys have ever used these, but they're so inexpensive and nice to just dry clean your brush in between shades. I think this is only like $5 and it's so nice to travel with. I'm going to take a big fluffy brush and go into the color Peak and just create a transition. Day to day, I do my eyeshadow pretty much the same, just because it's my comfort zone, it's what I feel good about. But when I go out in the evening, I do like to amp it up and do like a halo eye or some more creative eyeshadow looks. If you guys want to see more evening looks, let me know in the comments. So I'm going to keep this look today a little more on the simple side since it is a daytime look. I'm going to go into the color Untie. Just deepen up that outer crease. After I get most of that shadow off in the outer crease, I do like to bring it in just a little bit, what's left on the brush. It's really helpful when blending to use a light hand. This brush is a little smaller than the first one I started with, so I will go back to that first brush. And again, with a light touch, just give that a bit more of a blend. I'm going to go in with a flat brush into the color Gaze and just apply that to the actual lid. This gives it a little brightness. And for the sake of showing you guys how pretty that shimmer is, I am going to add a little shimmer over top of this. I'm going to take a pencil brush on this nice bone color here. This is the color Hint. I'm just going to put that on the inner corner. Sometimes that inner corner can get a little dark looking. This helps to brighten it up. And on aging eyes, using a matte color helps brighten it without drawing attention to any creepiness on the inner corners of the eyes. Let's go into that shimmer called Strip, and I'm just going to pat a little bit of that. Such a nice subtle sheen. You can certainly intensify it, but for day I just want a nice slight shimmer. I also like using a flat brush, so if you're not a fan of using your fingers, you can certainly take a flat brush and add that shimmer as much as you prefer. And the fantastic thing about eyeshadow is that it's a building process, so you can add as little as you want to give a slight contour to the eye, or be creative and a little more glam and intensify the look by building color. I'm going to go into Untie with a smaller brush and just drag some of that under my lower lash line just to give some dimension there and pull it up a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but back in the day, like in junior high and high school, I used to take a cheap kohl pencil and warm it up with a hot blow dryer so it was melty, and run a dark black underneath my lower lash line and not do anything to the upper lash line or wear eyeshadow. And I just thought that looked so amazing, and I have hardly any eyelashes, so the balance was so off. But I look back at those pictures now and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? I do want to take an angled brush and go into this dark brown and use it as a soft liner on the upper lash line. And if you get the brush wet, it'll add more pigment or saturation of the pigment. So depending on your preference, softer brown or deeper, richer brown. If you'd like it richer, dampen the brush. I'm going to use this Laura Mercier Invisible Translucent Setting Spray. This says Invisible Hydrating Setting Spray, and I believe it claims to help your makeup last up to 16 hours. 87% of people said it feels weightless. 84% says it reduces the appearance of shine throughout the day. 84% says the ultrafine mist does not feel tight or sticky on the skin. I'm going to use this on my brush. I got the smaller size just to see how I like it. I picked up two different mascaras, the Ilia and the MAC mascara that is the Magic Extension. I need all the lash help I can get. I am going to put on false lashes, so I'll try one of these on each side. Let's start with the MAC. Here is what the wand looks like. This is a little more robust than I usually like. I usually like a more separated wand, but let me give this a try. If you've tried any of the things that I am using today, let me know how you like them. I think that's also helpful for other people when they're making purchasing decisions, just to see how other people like them. We all have different preferences, so my taste may not be the same as yours. So I do like that. I think on my tiny short lashes, it gives a little thickness and boost and length, but I do think it has a tendency to get clumpy, at least when you have really puny lashes. So let's take a look at the Ilia. So the Ilia has a little bit different wand. So let's just see how that performs on the other side. This will take a little getting used to. I'm not sure how I feel about this wand yet. But it does seem to keep the lashes separated a little better. So the winner on these mascaras for me is the Ilia as far as lash separation on tiny lashes. If you like a thicker brush, you might like the MAC Magic Extensions. I think they're both nice mascaras, but I would definitely reach toward a mascara that separates lashes and makes them look a little more natural. Personally, I don't like a clumpy lash. All right, I picked this up because it was said to be a dupe for the Hourglass. Now I have the Hourglass palette, so I'm going to try this today and let you guys know how close of a dupe this is. It's so much cheaper. So I'm going to go into the contour color or bronzer color and just add a little bit of dimension here. Here's how that swatches. Now, I don't think it's as buttery or creamy feeling on the finger or on the face as the Hourglass, but I think it's pretty darn good. The powder blends in pretty nicely, and it has an ever so slight bit of sheen, which is one of the things I love about the Hourglass formula. It almost has that like healthy glow type look to it. I'm going to do a combination of the two blush colors. Usually I like a cream bronzer, but sometimes when I want to do just a quick makeup, I'll just rely on powder, bronzer, and blush, which is quick and easy. So obviously I put on some lashes, and I actually put a little bit of the NYX Thicket on my brows just to give my natural brow hairs, which are very sparse, a little bit more oomph. This wasn't a part of the Sephora haul, obviously, but I do love the Ardell 420 natural lashes and this NYX Thicket brow gel. Both great products from the drugstore. All right, now assessing the situation, I'm going to go back to my Kosas palette and go into the brown shade and just get a little bit on a brush like this. I like to use a blender brush that's not super flared out. And just deepen up the corner just a little bit. My dogs are ruckusing upstairs. I can hear them. I'm sure my daughter's getting them riled up. She tends to do that. I'm going to go back into that dark shade and just give it a little bit more definition under the lower lash line, especially in the outer corner. A couple other things I picked up, you guys, that I'm excited to share with you is this Glossier Stretch Foundation. I've heard so many good things about this, and I'm hopeful that this will be a nice everyday for mature skin. And I was super curious about the new Fenty Beauty. This is the Blur and Smooth Tint Stick. So that's what that looks like. Let me give you a little swatch. But it feels super creamy. So I think this might be a really good option for mature skin. Another product I picked up is the Sephora brand. This is the colorful blush in the shade Shame on You. So even though I have a bit of blush on, we're just gonna test out this color. I'm just gonna put some right up here over the top of that other Sephora palette. This is a little more matte, where that Sephora quad with the bronzer, 2 blushes, and highlight was more of a sheen, had kind of a glowy type finish. Let me go back to that and just take a look at how this highlighter looks. It's got a slightly gold undertone. I usually like a highlight with a slightly pink undertone, but let's see. I wouldn't say the quality of this is the same as Hourglass. I do like the Hourglass a little bit better, but for the price difference, this is a really nice palette. I'm actually going to take just a little bit of this and put it under the high part of my brow, ever so slightly. I'm excited to share the lipstick combo with you guys. It's so pretty. All right, this is the Huda Beauty lip liner in the color Honey Beige. I did wear this the very first day I got this and was blown away by how long it lasted. I was expecting it to show every crease in my lips, being that I'm over 50, but it actually looked really nice with the lipstick I'm going to show you here. I do love a lip liner for a mature lip, simply because we kind of lose lip definition. Not only do our lips kind of shrink as we get older as far as the volume, but the border starts to lack definition. Now, I do like to fill in my lips a little bit with the lip liner so that as I eat throughout the day and the lipstick starts to wear off, I still have that pigmentation. So this is the Huda Beauty Cream Lipstick in the shade Hustla. It's just such a pretty nude. And there's the swatch. Has a beautiful texture. It's not sticky. It feels really nice and hydrating. Has a subtle glow, but not too much shine. If you'd like a nude, this is a really beautiful combination. All right, I'm going to go into the Huda Easy Bake. I noticed that this does have a magnetic closure, so it's really well constructed. I did get the Cherry Blossom shade. I also got the same shade in the loose powder, which is really nice for brightening the under eyes. It does come with a little sponge, so I'll try that, see how useful that one is. So I want to create just a little bit more contrast between the powder contour and beneath it, and we'll blend that in just a second. This sponge that comes with it does do its job. Probably not my favorite sponge in the whole world, but it works. And then I'm going to take a softer brush and just lightly blend that in. I got a few of the Sephora brand eyeliners. These are the 12-hour retractable eyeliner, and I got a few different colors. I got the matte terracotta, the shimmer espresso, and the matte chocolate brown. So let me swatch these for you and show you how beautiful these are. They're nice and creamy. I'm hoping these are going to be a more affordable dupe for the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist. I also got the Ultimate Gel eyeliner. This is also waterproof, and this one is in the color Brown Matte. So they're just a little bit different. I'm going to take this Brown Matte and put it in my upper waterline. If you tend to have watery eyes and you lose your lower eyeliner or the outer corners from tearing or just eye watering, sometimes taking a little bit of the pencil that is waterproof and going over that soft eyeshadow will help keep that from moving throughout the day. And then you can always blend that in with an angled brush if the edges are harsh. And then I'm going to go ahead and set with this Laura Mercier Translucent Pure Setting Spray. I think setting spray on a mature face is really nice because it helps to kind of knock down the outer powdery look from any setting powder and just brings everything together. It also, depending on the ingredients, gives the skin kind of a shot of hydration. I can't say I love the sprayer on this. You definitely have to hold it back a little farther so that you're not getting a blast in the face. I tend to like a mist that has a really diffused spray, so it goes on soft and it doesn't feel too wet. The only thing I haven't shown you guys that I did pick up, and I'll do a video on all the House Labs that I have, is this House Labs blush. This is a really bright color, but it really intrigued me, and I think a little bit would go a long way. I love the Haus Labs products. The packaging is beautiful, and so far I've really been enjoying using the Haus Labs products. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. I got the Danessa Myricks Groundwork palette. This is a palette for eyes, brows, face, lips, and I haven't really dug into it yet, but I'm definitely going to do a look with this. I love the concept of this palette. Super curious to see how it works. I'm definitely going to dedicate a video to this palette because I think this has the potential to be super versatile. So of all the things I got in my haul today, the things that are jumping out at me as things I'm definitely going to love and enjoy. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy everything, but the Laura Mercier blurring powder. I always love Laura Mercier. I think this is going to be a nice replacement for the traditional or OG translucent loose setting powder. I'm also really quite impressed with the iconic London blurring primer. I feel like it really did a nice job at smoothing out some imperfections in my complexion and making the pores look a little less noticeable. First impression of the YSL concealer. This is the Touche Eclat High Cover Radiant Concealer. I really like it. I usually don't like a brush concealer, but I feel like this did a nice job. And in the time I've been filming, I'm not noticing any creasing or breaking up of the product. I feel like this gives really beautiful coverage without being overwhelmingly opaque or chalky looking on the mature eye. Of the mascaras, my pick is the Ilia. I think this is a great mascara if you have more lashes than I do. Because I have such tiny lashes, I need to really have a brush that separates. I'll have my daughter Abby test this one and get back to you guys with her feedback. She has great lashes, so let me know if you've used this and how it works on your lashes. I am really impressed with the YSL foundation. It's a little heavier coverage than I usually go for, but I think it's very long wearing. So if you are someone that wants long wearing, or if you have combination skin, this is a beautiful foundation. I'm not disappointed in it at all for my dry over 50 skin, but I do think the Armani Luminous Silk performs a tiny bit better, at least for my preference. I do like a little bit more of a natural skin showing through type finish. I wouldn't say that this is super full coverage, and it does still have a skin-like look. It just has a little bit different feel on the skin. This one slightly more hydrating, but I do think this one is going to wear longer. It just has that feel of a long wear foundation. The other advantage of this is the SPF 30. I haven't got to try these yet, but I am super excited. I did swatch them, and swatching them on my arm, they did feel a touch chalky to me. I don't know if you guys know what I mean by chalky, but on my skin, if a formula is too long wearing or too dry, it tends to have that chalky feeling that only gets worse throughout the day. The advantage to that is it is super long wearing, but if you have creasing, sometimes that formula can settle into fine lines and creasing. Now, because I haven't actually used it or done a wear test on this, I can't say for sure. So I'm definitely going to keep an open mind and let you guys know what I think. If you've used either of these products, let me know in the comments below. I do really love the Easy Bake, and I love the compact, which I think is so great for travel or throwing in your purse. The loose powder is really nice for underneath the aging eye, but I do like the compact for giving a little bit more definition in those areas that you do want to carve out. The Kosas palette has so many nice neutrals. I think it's such a versatile, everyday, nice sized palette. I don't like palettes that are so huge they're hard to work with. I've gotten away from buying those jumbo size palettes, although they come with a lot of colors, which offers a lot of versatility. I just think that they're hard to store, hard to travel with, and just cumbersome to use. I usually don't get anything bigger than like this Danessa Myricks palette, which is similar in size to a lot of the Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. So comparing these two, you can see there's quite a bit of difference, and I do like a little bit smaller, easier to travel with type of palette. They're also easier to fit in my storage or in my drawers. I do really like this setting spray, but unfortunately I'm not crazy about the way it sprays out. The mist is a little more direct than I like. I like a nice broad soft mist. This one just isn't hitting that mark for me. I don't regret having it. I do think it's a nice formula, but this may not be something I buy again simply because of the mist. I am super in love with this lip combo. I think it's wearable, it feels good on the lips, great for mature lips, hydrating, and just a color you can wear with anything. If you don't want to splurge on the Hourglass pricing for a similar palette, this one is a good option. It's not as high quality as the Hourglass, so it has a little more powdery texture, but for the price, it's actually really quite good. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with me. If you have any questions about any of the products that I've shared in this video, ask in the comments below. As time passes and my opinion changes, I'll keep you guys updated in the comments. I'll also let you know how these 2 products perform once I get a chance to really work with them. If you guys like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to be a part of the Gorgeously Aging community. I will see you in my next video. Remember what I always say, be good to yourselves and to others. The world needs that. See you next time.